starting now. I forgot to start it in the start, so it will be recording from here only. So let me explain again how to find a binary number. Let's say with the same example as 15. Okay. So what we will do, we will divide the number by 2 first. Okay. Then whatever is the output, the quotient. Okay, that is 7. Now we will divide the quotient again by 2. Okay, and we will be storing the remainder over here. What is important is storing the remainder. Okay, so we will divide the number by 2 again, so 7. Again, on dividing the number by 2, we will get quotient as 3, and then the remainder as 1. Now again we will get 2, and then again on dividing it we will get 1. Okay, so this is the logic. So I want you guys to use this logic to be implemented in your program. Okay, so every time the user is dividing, okay, so we will be using a while loop. Okay, so just think of it like every time we are dividing by 2, okay, and we are storing the remainder exactly like we were doing in this question, in the previous question. Over here we were dividing the number by 10, but this time since it is a binary number we will be dividing it by 2. Okay, so just think of the number and how to implement it. I will be giving you. We will be discussing the question at 7:25 according to my clock. Okay. So the guys, just try. I will open the paint so that you can understand. If anybody has is not getting it, guys, I gave you questions to practice at home, but like I don't think anybody tries it. So I think we should do it. So like one or two questions in the class also, so that you don't for like leave the habit of practicing. You have a habit of practicing questions daily. Abhinav, I'm not talking. Like you're supposed to practice some questions, like binary conversion. Okay. How many of you are like trying it, guys? How many of you are trying it? Okay, so your time's up. Now, uh, I will be like I will be giving the solution. If anybody has tried and it has not got it, so they can ask me now. Okay, or else they can just use the answer. So let's get to the programming part. First, let's take the number from the user. So it will go input, uh, enter decimal. Okay, and now what we will do. So what? How does it work? Is we will divide the number by two. So let's make a while loop. Okay, while n is greater than zero in the last time as we used it. So okay, let's keep a variable b equal to zero. Assign a b equal to zero. Okay. So now let's take the quotient. First, let's take the quotient. So the quotient will be q. Let's say it is q equal to n divide. Okay, and n divide two. Before that, we need the remainder only. We need the remainder only. So remainder is equal to okay n modulus two. So this will give me the remainder. Okay. So b is equal to b into 10 plus remainder. Okay. Uh, and mod 2. So I think this will give me the output. So let's say print b. Okay. So not the quotient. We have to give it n. So it can be recursive. Okay. So let's do it. So in the example, you give 15. Okay. So we got the output as 1111. Okay. Now let's try another number. That is 4. So I got the output as 1, but it should have been uh, 100 into 10. So let's keep over here. So it will be 0 in the start. Okay, and then what will happen is 0 star 0 is hmm. Okay. So I think this is not working for any number which is completely divisible by 2. Let's take another example. 12. So we are getting 1 1, but it should have been 1010. No, it is 10. So it should be 1100. So it is not working for digit like answers where we are getting 00 or 0 in the last. Okay. So we will make it. So has anybody tried? Guys, have anybody of you tried? Guys, have anybody has anybody tried? Okay. Uh, there's one more thing we can do instead of this. What can we do is we can print the remainder over here without taking anything. Okay, what can we do is we can print it out only or from here only. So we will do print. Okay, like we did in last questions where we were practicing patterns. So I think it will also work. Let's say 15. It gave us the output. Let's say 4. It gave us the output as 001. But we need 100. Okay. Hmm. Guys, any suggestions like how can we do it?
Keshav,
Yeah.
store in the one variable and then reverse that whole body.
You mean this?
Wait a minute. And spread it 4. Remainder is this. Yeah, you can do this also. Print B.
But it's not working for the like numbers which are having 00 or 0 in the last. It is not getting the 0.
Oh, can you show me the output again?
Yeah. Let's say I gave a number as 12 or 12. Actually, it's not printing anything. Wait.
Not yet print ready.
12. It is giving 11, but it should be 110. Sorry,
Oh,
1100.
okay. So you do one thing. You can check the value also. Like for example, let's take one example which is between the zero is coming between the number digit.
5.
Yeah.
It is working fine,
Okay.
but it's not
So
working
do one
just
thing.
for
Yeah.
numbers.
Do one thing. You do one thing. Converted that thing into the float format. So it will accept the whole data. I think if zero zero also there, then I think it will convert it. Otherwise,
Okay, okay. I
uh,
think we should
double
get
then
it in uh,
double
not
double
float,
double.
in string, in string.
No, not get in string. You can take in double also.
Double.
Yeah. First try in string and then convert into double.
Double will give us a decimal.
Not at all.
Okay, so let's do it. B is equal to str.
B into 10. B multiplied 10 Keshav, I think.
No, it will keep on concatenating now.
Okay.
12. And we will reverse it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Na?
Dot
B reverse.
reverse.
Yeah.
Let us no attribute reverse.
Is there any built-in function, built-in library or function?
Huh?
Is there any built-in library or function there?
Reserve is a built-in function only.
Built-in function or the library function
No, it is a
for
built-in. It is built-in
this
for
built-in?
strings. Yeah,
I see.
reverse not reserve. Let me check the documentation.
So reverse in the bracket. You can use bracket now. Because
That is also getting error.
not at all. Right now, it's not giving error. Where is? Oh, wait a minute. You can do one thing. B is equal to B plus str rem converted. You can convert it. Normally, you can check the condition. If the value of this is in 4 digit or not, you can convert it whole thing in that rest of the
Amit, your voice got.
okay. Check it first. Actually, I'm telling that you can check the condition. Like for example, if somewhere you got the in in a 2 digit number, you can convert it that into 4 by passing 00 at the last, because it was taking the value which you are using. Uh, if 0 is between the number, and it will show the 0. If 0 is not in between the number, it show not didn't show the 0. You can do check the condition and then try this one.
I didn't get you, Amit.
Keshav, you can normally like p is equal to 1100. Okay, so you
Okay.
can check, convert it into the string and check the length of that output. Okay, if that the output length of output is not 4, convert it into and put it 00 for the last 2 digit, because I think the data is, when you're getting the data, it will only remove the data which is 00 at the end, not from the front. Is it?
No, I got what you're trying to say. So let's do one thing. We will put a counter over here. But then again, you have to check the length of the string only.
Yeah, you will for that also.
So it is getting lengthy, na?
There's a normal solution for that.
Let's keep it this way. Like first, we will store each remainder in the form of string. Okay, we'll concatenate it, and then we will reverse print it, because we are reversing it over here, na? We are getting one,
Yeah.
like the last first, and then uh, so we will reverse it. So we will reverse it in this format. Okay, guys. For this, I have another solution also. Okay, so let's go with what function recursion is. So it is a new topic, function recursion. So you know what a recursion is? Does anybody over here know what recursion is? Recursion. Does anybody know what a recursion is? Come on, guys, answer. Okay. So I think you must have heard me saying this word when we were talking about loops. Yeah, correct. Abhinav, reoccurrence. Okay. So what does recursion mean is repeating itself. Okay, just like a loop, when a function repeats itself, we call it a function recursion. Okay, so let me take a function def. Okay, printing. Okay, let's take a function printing. It takes a variable n as input. Okay, and what it will give me is it will print, first it will print the number. Okay, and then what it will do, it will pass a function printing. Okay, dividing it by 2 and divided by 2. So what is happening is this function, printing function, is calling itself again and again every time. Now see what will happen. This function called it again. So now what it will happen? It will have the same value as 2. Okay. Again, function will come over here, go here, and then again printing will be executed, passed. So another time, again, let's say printing is Let me explain it with an example. So let's say I have a function printing. Let's say p. Okay, and I started it with a variable 8. Okay, so now what will happen is I'm again calling the function p, but this time what I'm doing, I'm dividing 8 by 2. Okay, so which is equal to 4. Now what will happen with this function is it will be again go to the body. It now over here the value is 4. In the start it was 8, but now the value is 4. Okay, so again what will happen is we will pass the function again. So p, and this time again we will, what we will do, we will divide it by 2 again. So p divided by 2, which is equal to 2. Okay, so now what this will give us, it will again give us a function, again it will like call a function p with value 2 divided by 2. Okay, which is equal to 1. Okay, now what this function will do, again this function will pass another function. Okay, with p 1 divided by 2 equal to 0. Does anybody has a doubt? Recursion function is used to call itself in the loop again and again. It will not stop until or unless we use break statement. Okay, it's not true, Priyamda. We have to be really careful when we use recursive functions, because sometimes, as in this particular case, in this particular program, what will happen is the loop will keep on executing. Okay, it got 0. Now again what will happen, it will go p 1 divided by 0 divided by 2, which is again 0. Okay, now again it will go like this, it will keep on going because we have not given any condition to stop, right? Over here we have not given any condition to stop. So let me explain. Okay, first I have to define the function. Let's say n is equal to int input n, enter. Okay, and then what I'm doing, I'm printing, passing the function printing with variable n in it. Okay, now let's do, so let's say I give input as 8. Okay, just see on the screen what will happen. See, it is going on executing 0 and 0. It will keep on doing that until and unless my browser like this crashes. Okay, until and unless my RAM crashes. So it will keep on executing like that because we have not provided any termination condition. Na? We have not provided any terminal condition, or we can use break. I'm not saying that we cannot, but break won't do over here because break is used to go out of a for loop, not of a function. Okay, so over here break statement will not do anything. So what we can do is we will have to check for a condition. Let's say if n is greater than 0, okay, then only what do, print and then pass. Okay, if n is not greater than 0, then what to do, return 1. Okay, so what this condition will do, it will return 1 when this condition is false. When this condition is false, it will return 1. Okay, is this clear to everybody? Guys, is recursion clear? Acha, not yet. Okay, so should I will explain it again. Okay, first let's run this condition. Let's run this program. So what is the number? Let's say 8. Okay, so now it executed only for when we get 1. Okay, it did not execute after 1. So what is happening over here, I will explain over here again. Okay, so first we called p8. Okay, then it was printing 8, and then again it was calling function p4. Okay, because 8 divided by 2 is 4. Okay, Juliana. Priyamda, are you following? Okay, so did you get, like, we will print 8 over here? Okay, this is when I'm talking about when we did not give any condition over here, when the program was looking like this. Okay, I'm talking about this particular scenario. So it was this. Now again, what will happen? The program will print 4, because now when we get to the printing part, it will print 4. Okay, so it printed 4, and again it will call function p, that is printing, and it will call 4 divided by 2, that is equal to 2. Clear? Now again, what it will do, it will print 2, and again call function p, that is printing 2 divided by 2, which is equal to 1. Okay, so now again this function, what it will do, it will print 1 and call function p. Okay, and it will give 0 divided by 1 divided by 2, which is equal to 0. Correct? Okay, Julian, I will try to explain it again. So is this clear? Like how we got, why is it like looping again and again without any condition? So when we got 0, again what it will do, it will print 0 and call function p. Okay, 0 divided by 0, which is equal to 0. Okay, again it will print 0, and then again it will call function p equal to 0, and it will go on doing this. It will keep on doing it for infinite time until your system crashes. So that's why I told you that keeping a condition like this, giving a condition like this will help for programmers, so that your system does not get crash. Okay, is it clear? What a recursion is, function recursion, and why is it necessary to have a condition? Yeah, infinite loop, exactly. So that your system does not crash and goes into an infinite loop. So this is a small part of like how to make a recursion function. Okay, so now there is one another particular naming that I would like to show you, like exactly what was happening here. This is called a recursion tree, because it is like, what to say, it is referencing to this particular program, it is referencing to this particular program, it is referencing to this particular again function, again, so it forms a kind of tree. Okay, so this is called a function tree, because it will execute like this now. Like this is 8, then this is 4, then this is 2, inside 2 we got 1, inside 1 we got 0, inside 0 we got another 0, again 0, again 0. So this is a tree, this is a format of a tree when we talk about data structures. So this is like this is how we define a recursion tree, and this is what a recursion tree is. This particular part. So let's do one question for this. Okay, what we will do now, we will calculate factorial of a number, okay, using recursion function. Before, what we were doing, we were trying to do it with for loop, but now what we will do, we will try doing it with a recursion function. So let's say I took a number n as factorial, and let's define a function factorial before, factorial of n. Okay, so what we will do, def factorial. Okay, and what we will pass n. Now what we will do, we will check if n is equal to 1, then what we need is return 1. Okay, we need to return 1, and what else else what will happen is, we will again call the factorial function, so we will have to multiply it before. So what we will do, uh, f is equal to f star factorial, okay, and n minus 1, and we will define f equal to 1 in the start. Or what? Okay. And then what we will do over here, we will return f. Okay. So I think it will work. So let's run this code first. So let's say 5, which I did not get like print the output. So let's do one thing. We will print over here only. So print. Okay. The output. Now let's run again, and 5. It returned 1. So f is equal to 1 and factorial of n. So 1 it is returning 1. So 1 into is 2 and returning f. Let's do one thing. What we will do, we will it is after again returning 1. So when n is equal to 1. Okay. This will be n into. Sorry. Yep. So we got 120. Okay. So let me explain it in the paint with this example. So let's say I entered the number f and 5. Let's call the function factorial as f. Okay. Don't get confused. We are calling the function factorial as f. So we call the function f. So what it will do now? First, it will check this condition. If n is equal to 1, is n this is equal to n? So is 5 equal to 1? No. So it will come to the else part. So what it will do? So f is equal to n, that is 5 into factorial of n minus 1. That means f of 4. Okay. So we are calling the function f4. So now we'll call the function f4. So this is n. Okay. Now over here n value is 4. Okay. Now just forget about this part. Just see this. Okay. Just see this part. Forget about that. This part does not exist for you right now. Okay. So now what will happen? We will check if 4 is equal to 1. No, it's false. So it will come to the else part. Again, what will happen? F is equal to n, that is 4 into f of 3. Okay. So this will happen. So now what to do? Now just forget this particular part. Think it does not exist for you. Okay, just see this f3. Okay. So now what will happen? It will again execute. Okay. It will check if it is equal to 1. No, then it will come over here. So that means f is equal to. Okay. I think I should increase it from here. Okay. So see f3, exactly what it will do. It will go f is equal to 4 into f. Sorry, not 4. Sorry. It will be 3. Okay, 3 because n is equal to 3 now. So 3 into f of n minus 1. So that is f of 2. Okay. So now what will happen? Again, it will go and it will check f is equal to 2 into f of 1, because 2 minus 1. Now this time when we go to this function, okay, it will check if n is equal to 1. Yes, n is equal to 1. So what it will return? It will return 1. Okay, it will return 1 over here. So what will happen is, now this part goes away. Okay, and since 1 was returned, so we will get 2 into 1, which is equal to 2. Okay, now after this statement, what is written? Return f. Okay, so what it will do, it will return this function to over here. Okay, this value will be returned over here. So again what will happen, this part will be removed. Okay, this now is free, this part is free now, and we will get 3 into 2, which is equal to 6. Okay, similarly again we will get return f. So now what will happen, now this 6 will be returned over here. So now this part will be removed, so this part is gone. Okay, so this part is gone. Okay, and what we will get over here, 4 into 6, that is equal to 24. Okay, so now again what will happen, return f. So this f will be returned over here. Okay, and this part will be removed. So let's remove this part. Okay, so we got 5 into 24, which is equal to 120, and this will be returned where we call the function. Okay, so we call the function over here, so 120 will be printed over here. Okay, so now this part is gone, and just we will get 120 as the output. Is it clear now? Is it clear like how to calculate a factorial using recursion, function recursion? Okay, what about the others? Guys, is recursion clear to everybody? Okay, so I think it's end of the session now. So if anybody has any query regarding today's topics, so they can ask now. Okay, does anybody have any query? Yeah, Bhargavi. Bhargavi, you have any query, or did you write yes for you understood?
No, I don't have worry. I understood.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
So guys, if you want, you can leave, or if you have any doubt, then acha, what is the use of this? So see, what is the use of function? Okay, remember the last time we talked about what is the use of a function, so that the same block does not gets called again and again. Like we don't have to write the same thing again and again. Okay, similarly what recursion does is it is like really unhealthy, or let's say for the same code. Okay, what we will do is, for this particular code only, what we will do, we will use a recursion like for loop. Okay, for I in range, and then what we will do 1 to n plus 1, and then we will call the function. Okay, and then we will get the factorial. Okay, this we will do every time, but this thing over here, it uses the same space. Okay, it uses the same space, so that no extra space is required. Over here, when we use a for loop, every time we do another, like we run a, what to say, every time we run like once one loop, okay, the time duration increases. Okay, I don't think you know about time complexity, but if you do, let me tell you, like whenever a loop is like executed, it runs for a total of n like it's big O of n. Okay, the time complexity is big of n. That means it's the worst case scenario. Okay, and it is the best and the worst case, because when you execute a loop for n plus one times, it will always be it will always take n like n as the unit of time. Okay, n units of time. So what this recursion does is over here it was forming a tree, right? So in this case, the time complexity is decreased. Okay, rather than using a for loop, in this particular case, the time complexity is decreased. Okay, because we are dividing the function na, simultaneously, the other process is running. Okay, when we were calculating this, simultaneously the other process is running, similarly another process is running, similarly another process is running, till the condition is false, the same process is running. And once the condition turns out to be false, all the values are like we get all the values at once. So it takes a really low time compared to the other, the for loop part. Okay, is it clear? Like it's good for time complexity. It has a better time complexity than other for loops. Okay, so if anybody has no question, then you can leave the meeting.